They fired 16 bullets to erase the truth, but instead, they wrote a story the world will never forget. Before we begin this powerful story, I want you to pause for just a moment. Imagine if this were your brother, your sister, your child, someone you love being judged, mistreated, or even erased before their story could be told. If you believe their voices deserve to be heard, if you believe their pain should never be forgotten, then hit that subscribe button right now, because stories like this are exactly what they don't want you to hear. Welcome to Wealth and Wounds, where truth meets struggle and silence is never an option. It was a night that should have been quiet. The kind of night where streetlights hummed faintly, and the only sound was the distant bark of a restless dog. But on the east side of Masonville, quiet nights had a way of turning violent, and no one knew that better than Darius Miller, a 17-year-old boy who carried notebooks instead of weapons. Darius wasn't a saint. He was a dreamer. He wrote poetry, sketches of sneakers he swore he'd design one day, and letters to his mother that he never sent. But in Masonville, none of that mattered. The color of his skin meant his story had already been written for him, at least in the eyes of those with power. On October 22nd, that story changed forever. Officer Harrington was a man with 20 years on the force, and a reputation that made even his fellow officers whisper. To him, the East Side was a jungle, and every teenager walking past the liquor store was a predator. That night, Harrington's headlights cut across Darius's path. Darius, hoodie pulled tight, was on his way home from a late shift bagging groceries. His backpack was heavy with textbooks, and his sneakers slapped the sidewalk in a rhythm only he could hear. "Hey you, stop right there," Harrington barked. Darius froze. His heart raced. He'd seen enough news to know this could go either way. Slowly, he turned, clutching the strap of his bag. "Empty the bag," Harrington demanded, hand hovering over his holster. Inside was nothing but notebooks, a crumpled work uniform, and a half-eaten sandwich. But Harrington didn't see that. He saw what he wanted to see: a suspect. Witnesses say it happened in less than 30 seconds. A flurry of commands, Darius backing away, his notebook tumbling from a bag, glowing under the harsh streetlight as if it carried truth too powerful to ignore. Then came his shots. 16 of them. The street was no longer quiet. Neighbors cracked open blinds. Mothers screamed. Fathers rushed onto porches. 16 bullets tore through the night, and with them, the innocence of a boy who never had a chance to speak. But Darius wasn't gone. Not yet. By the time the ambulance arrived, Harrington had already written the first draft of the story. Teen suspect. Resisted arrest. Reached for a weapon. The glowing notebook lay in the street, pages fluttering with poetry about survival, dreams, and escape. But the official report made no mention of it. Evidence disappeared. Camera footage mysteriously malfunctioned. The system was working, not for justice, but for silence. Yet silence doesn't last forever. Enter Angela Miller, Darius's mother, a woman who had worked 2 jobs for 10 years just to keep her son fed, clothed, and in school. When they told her the official story, she didn't cry. She didn't scream. She clenched her jaw and said only one thing: "Show me the truth." For weeks, she stood outside precinct doors. She called news stations. She begged lawyers who brushed her off. But when doors closed in her face, Angela opened her own. She gathered neighbors, witnesses, and anyone willing to speak. She built a story piece by piece, one that looked nothing like the one Harrington told. Then came the footage. A grainy dashcam video, leaked by a rookie cop who couldn't stomach the lies. It showed Darius backing away. It showed the notebook falling. It showed Harrington pulling the trigger again and again and again. 16 shots. The city erupted. Protesters filled the courthouse steps. Candlelight vigils turned into marches. Angela's voice, once ignored, now echoed through bullhorns and across live streams. And yet, Harrington walked free, pending investigation. Paid leave. Justice seemed like a dream, and Angela feared she might wake up before it arrived. Months later, the trial began. Harrington sat smugly at the defense table, flanked by lawyers in sharp suits. Angela sat in the gallery, clutching Darius's notebook like a holy text. Witness after witness was discredited. Gang ties, they whispered about Darius. Troubled youth, they suggested. But the notebook told another story, one of love, hope, and creativity. And then, in a moment no one expected, Angela was called to the stand. Mrs. Miller, the defense sneered, would you describe your son as an angel? No, Angela said, voice steady. He was human, and that's why his life mattered. The courtroom fell silent. For the first time, Harrington's smirk faltered. The jury deliberated. Hours passed. The city waited. Finally, the verdict, guilty. The courtroom erupted. Harrington's face drained of color. Angela clutched the notebook to her chest as tears streamed down her face. But just as justice seemed to have arrived, the judge leaned forward. Sentencing will be delayed pending further review of newly submitted evidence. Whispers swept the room. What new evidence? Who submitted it? As Angela turned, she saw a man in a gray suit slip quietly out the back door. A man she'd never seen before, carrying a folder marked with her son's name. The fight wasn't over. Not even close. That night, Angela sat alone at her kitchen table, the notebook open before her. Pages she'd never read began to reveal secrets. Sketches of buildings she didn't recognize. Notes about conversations Darius had overheard. Names, dates, connections. It wasn't just about her son anymore. It was bigger, much bigger. And as thunder rolled outside, Angela whispered to herself. They thought 16 bullets would bury the truth, but they only woke it up. To be continued. Family, if this story has you on the edge of your seat, don't just watch in silence. Hit that subscribe button right now so you never miss when the truth breaks free. Stories like this are silenced every day, but together we can make sure the world hears them. Justice isn't just a word, it's a fight. And if you believe that fight should never end, then hit like, drop a comment with your thoughts, share this video with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to Wealth and Wounds. Because every voice matters, every story counts, and silence is never the answer.